Today you join us for a buddy review on this, the brand new Mazda 3 2.5 liter turbo all-wheel drive. And in order to do a buddy review on this car, I need a buddy, and who better to do that than Alex?
Yeah, we're taking a look at this sweet little hatchback today. So we're going to walk around it, talk about the styling, take it for a drive, and see what it's all about.
That's right. We'll test out a bunch of different aspects of this car. But let's start out with the exterior styling. It's the first thing that you see when you walk up to the car. And this, what you're looking at, the paint color, is an optional extra. It's $595.
Yeah, it's machine gray metallic is what Mazda calls it.
But what do you think, Alex? I think this is a pretty good looking color. Might be worth the money.
Yeah, I think it's a sharp looking color, especially with all the black accents. I like the little bit of contrast you have. It's not like a huge pop with a bright color, but you get the red interior, which we'll look at in a little bit, and I think it looks good with all the gloss black on the outside. It's pretty cool.
It's subtle, and I think this car does that well. It's got a subtle premium aspect to it that you don't get with a lot of other hatchbacks. And like you were saying, these black accents, that little bit of contrast with the gray on this car is really good looking. You get the same thing on these 18-inch wheels up front. You have Bridgestone Turanza tires, and we'll see how grippy those are in a moment. Overall, a pretty sharp car. You've even got a sunroof up top, and you've got a little black spoiler here. Again,
yeah, this is
subtle.
Pretty cool. It matches the little lip spoiler in the front too, so.
Yeah, subtle, but it gives the top of the car just a little bit extra, because without this spoiler, I just think that the top of the car would be a little too round. Overall, I think a really good looking vehicle. From some angles, I could see it being a little awkward. I mean, not that this is uncommon for hatchbacks, but this C-pillar, for example, this body panel is just
it's pretty
huge.
massive.
From certain angles, it looks a little funky, but overall, I think a really sharp vehicle.
You do have dual exhaust, which is nice.
Yeah,
I like to see that on a sporty hatchback.
And something that I like a lot is when you lock or unlock the car, you get these little flashes of the turn signal, and it doesn't just flick on and flick off. It kind of fades in and out.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, there's small touches like that that make this car feel a little bit more premium. Should we hop in the back seat and see how we fit?
Yeah, why don't we, let's hop in the front seat. I'll set the seat to my height so we can kind of sit behind each other.
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I hope you don't have to go back any.
No, this is pretty much where I'd sit right here.
Okay, so I'm not, my knees aren't touching the seat, but they're pretty close. I'm only 5'10", so if I were Andre or Roman or one of the other guys that usually does some of these reviews, I would be knees up against the front of the seat. And in terms of headroom, I can fit my hand in between my puffy hair and the headliner, but there's not much left.
Yeah, you're not a super tall dude. So.
No, so I fit, but just. So if you're on the larger side, yeah, this would be a difficult place to spend a whole lot of time. You do at least get an armrest, cup holders, no vents in the back. So on a hot day, you're gonna have to blast your front AC to keep your rear seat from becoming a sauna. But it is at least nice. I mean, even in the back, look at the door cards. We'll talk a little bit more about interior quality in a moment, but it is a really pretty interior. Let's check out the trunk, because this is one of the great things about this car, and a great thing about a hatchback in general. So you get tons and tons of trunk space. And Alex can pull
our little cargo lid isn't on there.
Alex can pull up the exact numbers here for us. I think it's, what, 27.1 cubic feet with the seats down?
Let's see. 20.1 cubic feet.
20.1.
Yep. And then if you fold everything down, 47.1. That's pretty big.
So, I mean, this is a big, deep trunk, and that's kind of a perk of a hatchback is if you take this out. Again, you also get a decent amount of height. 60-40 fold on the seats. You fold those down, and yeah, you can get a solid amount of space.
Let's check out the front seat.
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, you're taking the driver's seat.
I'll take the driver's seat.
This guy.
So, once again, the red from the back seat carries into the front. Really nice red leather seats, carries onto the dash and the door cards too.
Yes.
Bose sound system, which you can see. Those speaker grills have a nice look to them.
Yeah, it's a Bose 12-speaker audio system. So, better than the average. Definitely, it's not like a Burmeister or anything super crazy, but overall a really nice interior.
Yeah, you do
I like
have
the speaker grills.
Nice sunroof up top. It's not massive, but it works. And I just think Mazda makes a really nice interior. It's a nice place to sit.
I mean, this is a much sharper looking interior than the average that you're going to get in a more economy focused car. And everything from a design standpoint, the shape of the dash, the look of the steering wheel, the feel of the buttons, this piano black looks really good. This stuff definitely scuffs easily. You can see some scuffs in it already.
Yeah, it's already scuffing.
But overall, a really good looking interior. I think the biggest drawback is going to be this 8.8-inch screen here. It's not that it's necessarily all that terrible to use. It's just small and it's got a big bezel relative to other cars on the market, most of them. So
it's not a touchscreen.
And it's not a touchscreen.
You got to use this rotary dial down here by the shifter.
Yeah, so it looks a little bit dated because of that big bezel, and there's going to be a lot of people that wish they had the touchscreen.
I do like this.
Yeah,
that's
actually
nice.
Having a real shifter.
Yeah, 6-speed transmission. You do have a little sport mode right there. You can toggle on and off.
Yeah, and this is actual leather. The steering wheel is actual leather.
And this is big right here. I think this is just super easy to use. There's so many cars these days that have haptic controls. And look, I want to up the fan speed. Done. Down the fan speed. Auto.
Yeah.
Just super easy to use.
Under the hood of this Mazda 3, being the turbo, you get a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 278 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed automatic to an all-wheel drivetrain. But this is not really a Golf R competitor. It's not like a Focus RS. It's not meant to be.
It's not the Mazda 3-speed replacement.
Yeah, it's not a Mazda Speed 3. This is a torquey, more luxurious kind of offering. So there's not even an available manual transmission if you get the turbo powertrain. If you want a manual, you have to go for the base 2.5 liter. That's front wheel drive, 186 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque. So you get a solid bump up in power here, but yeah, it's not meant to be a gear slamming sports
I think that's
car.
a real shame, honestly. They should offer this with the manual.
It is a little bit, but at the same time, and I think you'll see this in a moment, Mazdas are still great vehicles to drive. You know, they handle well, they drive well. Mazda has their driving dynamics sorted out properly. Really, the only kind of letdown with this car is that instead of independent rear suspension like the previous generation, you have a torsion beam setup. So it's a little
bumpier, a little
bit more rudimentary there. But these cars still drive fantastic, even if it isn't a manual. All right, I managed to swipe the driver's seat for the actual driving part.
Lucky you. You used to be a Mazda guy too, so you should feel right at home.
Yeah, so that is a little bit of a fun fact. My first car was the first model year of the previous generation of this car, so 2014 Mazda 3 Hatch, but it was just a regular naturally aspirated 2.5 liter front wheel drive. So I am interested to see how the turbo feels, because this is my first time driving a Mazda 3 turbo.
Yeah, so let's get it out to the main road and you can plant your foot and see what it does.
See how it is. One thing I will say, even at the time, my Mazda 3 had a nice interior relative to most other hatchbacks. This interior, this current generation, is even a big step up from what mine was. Mine wasn't bad. This
it's
is
nice.
Really nice.
Everything is soft to the touch. Everything you touch.
Mazda has done a really good job at working upscale without doing anything crazy to the entry price of their vehicles, and we'll talk about pricing.
I don't know that my big water bottle would fit in that cup holder though.
Probably not.
A little far forward.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's
not a rocket ship, but
no,
yeah.
it's not a rocket ship, but it's torquey.
It's got a
scoots you along
deep
just
sound
fine.
to it too.
It does. It has a pretty deep tone. It doesn't sound like a dinky little tiny engine. It's got
a little bit of a rumble there.
Yeah, I bet with a pipe and an intake, it sounds pretty good. So I'm going to try something out as we pull onto the highway. I'm going to go into sport mode, which just kind of hangs gear longer and keeps the RPMs up higher, so it won't have to downshift so bad every time I want to go towards the throttle. Round in the corner and foot down. Yeah, I mean, it just
Not a massive difference. Just hangs the RPMs a little higher. You're right.
It just scoots you along very proficiently. It's nice. It gets you up to speed. It does what you need to do. Where these cars really shine is through corners. They're fun handling cars. Even with the torsion beam set up, it's still a fun handling car. I know the car that I had back in the day with fully independent suspension was a really fun handling car. Unfortunately, here on the Front Range of Colorado, it's very flat until you actually hit the mountains. So around our office, it's mostly just grid pattern roads. We don't get a lot of cool corners to test out handling on unless we go pretty deep into the mountains. Now, the stretch of highway we're on doesn't have any good place to test a 0 to 60, but at sea level, where ideally you would be testing 0 to 60, it's 5.9 seconds, which, again, it's good. It's good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, especially considering what this says. It's an economy car. But one nice thing about this car is it actually gets good fuel economy.
Yeah, it's not bad. 23 in the city and 32 on the highway. And you got to remember, this is an all-wheel drive car. So if that doesn't sound amazing to you, remember, you're rolling around in all-wheel drive. So the sticker on this car is just over $36,000, $36,010 to be exact. But you can start, or you can get into one of these cars for right around 23 grand. But if you want this engine combo, the turbo, you're paying at least 31.9.
And in my mind, this is a lot of car for 36 grand. It's nice to drive. It's a nice interior. It's all-wheel drive. It's got plenty of power. So it's a really pretty fantastic all-around vehicle for a little over 30 grand. And I see this as a great alternative to getting a crossover, for example, for a lot of people, because it's just going to be more fun to drive. And if you don't need that little bit of extra ground clearance, or you don't really care about sitting up higher,
and you still have all the utility. You can load large items into the back. So
yeah, it's a full hatchback, so you've got plenty of utility. You've got plenty of capability for driving through the snow. If you put snow tires on this, it's going to be as good as a RAV4 or CRV or anything in the snow. It's a really good alternative to that.
So on the TFL buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it scale, what would you give this?
You know, I would say probably for me, lease it. I could see enjoying driving this car around for a couple of years, and then when it gets a little bit more dated, move on to something else. I think it's a really good vehicle. It would be a fantastic commuter, fun to drive it.
Nice. And for me, I think it'd be a buy it. Like Kase said, for 36 grand, I think you get a lot of car here. And me personally, I care a lot about interior quality, so this car's really doing it for me. So I'd say buy it. And as always, don't forget to head on over to alltfl.com so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. And also, tflbids.com is now live. Head on over there. We have a couple auctions coming up soon.